Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the update for the Eyes Project Pan, which stands for Enjoy Your Eyeshadows. These are all the eyeshadows I've used since the 5th of last month, so a month's worth of usage, and we'll be going through them from the least used to the most used shadows. So we're going to start with the MAC Brulee, and I'll be putting a picture of the pans up here. Use this one once. Natasha Denona Gold palette. Use this one once. The I Need a Nude palette by Huda Beauty was used once. Natasha Denona My Dream palette was used once. Odin's Eye Christmas Eve palette was used once. Unearthly's Devour palette was used once. Too Faced Born This Way Sunset Stripped was used once. My second set of Lethal singles was used once. The e.l.f. Acai palette was used once. The Huda Beauty Rose Quartz was used once. My first set of Lethal singles was used twice. My Terra Moon singles were used twice. Lunar Beauty Moonspell Volume 2 was used twice. The ColourPop Mar palette was used twice. ColourPop By the Rosé palette was used twice. Dandelion's The Snow Spell was used twice. ColourPop Troublemaker palette was used twice. Odin's Eye Hella palette was used twice. My Dandelion's Fall singles were used twice. The Natasha Denona Sunset palette was also used twice. Then we have the Fancy Cosmetica Rogue palette, was rolled in for 3 uses. One of those was just a regular use, and 2 of those were for the new version of Throwback 30 that just started on the 28th. The Natasha Denona Pastel palette was used 3 times. The Adept Cosmetics Arrow palette was also used 3 times. The Unearthly Surrender palette has been used 4 times. 2 of those were in Nightmare on Panning Street, where I'm trying to do No Pan Left Behind. So I got uses on these 4 here and these 2 here. The Unearthly Dreamer palette was used 4 times. My Nomad 2 singles was used 4 times. Seahorse palette was used 4 times. My Adept Cyborg Choir palette was used 4 times. Blend Bunny Lure palette was used 4 times. And the Odin's Eye singles were used 4 times. The Odin's Eye Hey Reindeer palette has been used 5 times. 2 of those were for Throwback 30, trying to hit pan and Christmas ham for a food themed product. And the other 2, I know at least one of the other uses was for these 2. That was used 5 times. And then the Sigma Alice in Wonderland palette was also used 5 times. This was in for 10 uses for Deck of Panning for any and all shades. And our last 5 use was for the Nomad Ireland palette. This one is also in Deck of Panning for a No Pan Left Behind goal. So far I have used these 2 blues, these 2 greens, these 2 greens, and this copper. Now for the big numbers. ColourPop Ritz has been used 7 times, even though it's not current. No, it is currently in project. Hasn't been used. I think it just got rolled in for Throwback 30, but all of these uses were from before it was in a project. Just such a perfect topper shade. My Nomad 1 singles were used 7 times. This is primarily Hudson Valley, but it's got a few extra shades from the Cloud Forest palette, and this one from the Romeo and Juliet palette. That's been used 7 times, mostly for pulling reds for collabs. And then my color pan, that's taupe, or ColourPop, that's taupe, was in color pan to try to hit pan and slated. So that's how this one got its 10 uses, although still no pan. Well, one of those uses was, I know, for this shade for a random makeup look, but most of those were trying to get the pan insulated. And then the e.l.f. Truffles palette, which is my Pan That palette, has been used 16 times this last month. We finally managed to hit, during that month, we managed to hit our last pan. So we have a pan in every palette. And now it's just how much can we use up before the end of the year, because that had been the goal. The goal was simply to try to hit pan in all 4 shades. So now we're just trying to use up. And then the final palette was my Project Level Up Adventure palette by Game Beauty. And we used this one 18 times. And the picture will have the spoiler in it. But this was level 4 and we did manage to hit all 4 pans. So for our pit, because when Deb created this, all she asked for was that we pick a pit, our least favorite shade or palette of the month, and then our peak, our favorite of all the favorites of the month. So my pit is the Huda I Need a Nude Light, I Need a Nude, that's Natasha, no. The Huda Beauty Nude Light palette. And part of it is I like color. Where's my color? But mostly it's the pit just because it's gotten to be so old that the pigment is getting hard to pick up and it's getting hard to use the shades. So it's an age, not a quality of the product issue. My peak, I couldn't choose, so I'm rolling in 2 peaks. One is the Cyborg Choir by Adept. They just are absolutely gorgeous, and it is just helped bring some summer to my looks with some of the other palettes I've been using. I mean, just look at those shades. It's just gorgeous. And then my other peak is the Nomad Ireland palette, which has also just been an absolute dream to work on during the summer. The shimmers are fantastic. The mattes blend like a dream. I mean, it's just summer in a palette. Especially since where I live in Alaska, our summer is basically everyone else's spring, so this is spring looks galore for the summer. Okay, so that's it for the Eyes Project Pan. Thanks for stopping by and watching, and I hope you come back to watch for future videos, and we'll see you next time. Bye.